many of the issues that Koeberg and Eskom face are deeply political.
So why there's this continuous struggle to get the acceptance for the newer renewable 21st century technologies, I don't know. I think it's political. I think there's an element of corruption involved. I think the mining companies have too much power. And I don't think our government is strong enough to take a line, except for one single ray of light, and that's President Ramaphosa's recent offering of 100 megawatts of power production free of a license. That's a huge breakthrough in energy policy in South Africa, and he should be applauded for that. And what's fascinating is that he's overridden his own minister. This is a presidential decision, and it's in contradiction with the negative behavior of Gwede Mantashe, who's done everything in his power to stop the advance of renewable in favor of uranium and coal. I think that Gwede Mantashe is a threat to public health, and the sooner he's removed from office and replaced with a more intelligent minister, the better.
And when the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Association, came to South Africa in 2013 to check if we had any of the problems that were present in Japan at the time of Fukushima, they found exactly the same thing. Our Minister of Energy appoints the board of the National Nuclear Regulator, he appoints the CEO of the National Nuclear Regulator and of NERSA, the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, and he's responsible for promoting nuclear power. In fact, he signed a performance agreement with our President Ramaphosa in 2019, saying he will, number one, procure a new plant by 2024, and number two, he will extend the life of Koeberg by 20 years. So how can we say we've got an independent regulator keeping us safe when the person who appoints that regulator has committed in writing that no matter what, Koeberg's life will be extended? So that's a major problem that we have in our country in terms of our regulatory framework.
Despite the controversy of nuclear energy, there are still plans to expand the life of Koeberg Station.
Okay, there's two separate plans, right? The one plan is to extend the life of the existing power station to another, let's say, 60 years odd, which is, it's technically doable but risky. The other one is to put new power stations on the same site. And there's been a lot of debate about what technology.
So Eskom will have to actually apply to the National Nuclear Regulator for a license to operate the plant longer than they intended. And one of the things they'll have to do is replace various parts, and that includes the steam generators. So they've already spent billions of rand on that, despite the fact they haven't really got approval to do the life extension yet. So will it improve the safety to put the new steam generators in? I guess it will. And if you think about it like a 40-year-old car, improve the reliability of the car to put a new carburetor in? Yeah, it probably will. But that doesn't mean the car is now safe to drive. And of course, if a car breaks down, well, you stop and you catch a taxi. But if a nuclear plant breaks down, it's another story altogether. So by patching pieces of it, you won't necessarily make the whole plant safe, because the entire design of modern plants is different to those plants.
This is like a normal thing, if your car is very old, then maybe you would change the engine, and then you would have a car again. It's not as if this is something totally new or unique, or we're going to try and let it run for longer than anybody else. I mean, this is pretty standard procedure to happen at nuclear power stations.
There are readily available solutions to nuclear energy.
The difficulty is that we have other technologies, especially the new ones, that already have replaced nuclear power worldwide, where the people who refuse to have nuclear power, places like Germany and Italy and Switzerland. I mean, a lot of people have turned their backs on nuclear power in the enlightened democracies and have embraced other technologies at a much lesser cost, by the way. That's the other problem with nuclear power, is that it's extremely expensive to start up. Once it's running, obviously you can amortize the cost over 30 years, but to start up, to construct a nuclear power station is hellishly expensive. And basically the big powers that actually have a nuclear weapons program are exporting their technology to the third world in a very similar way in which the cigarette companies exported their technology to the third world. It wasn't acceptable at home, but they can perfectly easily force it down the throat of third world people like us,
Okay. So the solution for the country is the same as the solution for the world, and this is very clear to everyone in the industry. That is a combination of renewable energy, solar PV, and wind power plus storage is the long-term solution. Everyone agrees on that. Everything else we do is an interim solution to see if we can bridge the gap until we get there. So does South Africa have the capacity for that? We've got, it's called insolation, that's the amount of sun that strikes the earth. We've got the second best in the world in the Northern Cape, and we've got tremendous wind power potential along the coast of the country as well. So far more potential than, for example, Germany, but Germany has outstripped us already in its solar PV capacity. And one might say, are batteries expensive? Yes, but 60 billion rand to refurbish Koeberg is also expensive.
Now, South Africa is in a great position because we have lots of sunshine, we can make lots of solar power. The problem with solar power is that it's only certain times of the day, and battery systems are extremely expensive still. I don't mean that we shouldn't have PV panels. We should have the cheapest possible electricity, which is effective for our population, which can help our industry, which can hopefully provide work as well, and hopefully try and reduce the huge inequalities that we've got in this country.
Perhaps the question of Koeberg's sustainability is a matter of perception. What sustains is that the energy crisis is political. Its solutions depend on citizen participation in governmental decision-making. If citizens are to wait for government, it might be too late. If citizens act as individuals, that might be too little, while acting in unison might just be enough.
It's possible, though, that our greatest danger to our nation isn't global warming nor the energy crisis, but rather out-of-controlled, unbridled government spending. But if we use our resources productively and take to heart all of the lessons we've learned from dealing with the energy crisis, we can expect a future full of possibilities. These obstacles, though, should not be seen as threats, but rather as chances to remake our future, one that will serve all beings. Well, that's it from me, Megan Edwards, on Guardians of Gaia for this week. Please do join us next week, same time, same place, as we look at more alternatives and solutions to the energy crisis. Remember also to please let us know of your eco-stories on all our social media handles. American architect and futurist R. Buckminster Fuller said, "There's no energy crisis, only a crisis of ignorance." Good night.